Hello everyone. The question of the day today is, how many calories do you need to put on massive amounts of size? Well, that is the golden question. It's very difficult, right? And what I'm going to say is this, is that we need to first start with how many calories do you need to maintain? Because that's what you're going to add on to, okay? So remember, again, the goal is you're trying to add size. You're trying to go from maybe 160 pounds to 180 pounds. Or if you're one of those monsters out there, you might be going from 225 and your goal is to get to 250, okay? This is different than body recomposition, where you might have a guy who's 180 and wants to stay at that weight but get leaner and add muscle, okay? The goal is I'm trying to go up in size, and what do I need? Well, first, again, you need to understand maintenance calories. So there's a number of ways that you can do that. 3 ways are one, you can use a calorie calculator, which is good, but they're variable, right? It depends on who you are, and sometimes they don't accurately calculate calories. The second way you can do it is, well, if you're around Tampa, you can come to ASPI, and we can actually look at your metabolism in real time, okay? But most people aren't going to have access to that. So what's the best way besides that? Well, what happens is that typically we default to maintenance calories, okay? So 2 of the guys on the Muscle PhD team I was just talking to, you guys know Charlie, you know Paul, and I said, well, how much weight have you gained in the last month? They said, well, none, right? Well, it's because when you're in the normal work environment, when you're doing your normal training program, you're naturally going to select out the calories that are going to put you at maintenance, okay? So we're in homeostasis, just like we regulate temperature, just like we regulate total body water, your body regulates your weight, okay? So why is it then when I go on a cruise I become fat? Well, the reason why is because I'm in a new environment, right? So my best friend, Dr. Ryan Lowry, whenever he goes on a cruise, he texts me pictures of like buffets and all sorts of huge plates that he eats. That's not his normal everyday thing that he's going to do. So now he's outside of his environment, so he might put on 5 to 10 pounds in that week, right? But when he comes back, he goes back to his normal body weight. That's homeostasis. So what I recommend is weigh yourself at the beginning of a week and weigh yourself again at the end of the week or at the end of 10 days. And while you're doing that, just naturally log your calories. If you haven't gained any weight, that average amount of calories are your maintenance calories, okay? So that's step 1. Now, step 2 is to decide, what category do I fall under? Am I an endomorph, where I put on fat very easily and I can gain muscle at a moderate pace? Am I a hard gainer, where I'm really thin naturally, but it's hard for me to put on size? Or am I more of a mesomorph that puts on muscle probably 75% of the weight I gain, and maybe, 15 to 25% of what I gain is fat? Okay, let's start with the endomorph. If you put on fat easily and muscles moderately, then you're going to look at that maintenance calories, and I'd start by adding 250 calories, okay? And really, you might start increasing those calories from protein, right? From lean, low-carb protein, because you're not going to gain as much fat when you're adding protein, okay? If you're gaining weight, probably at a quarter to a half a pound a week, and you're an endomorph, that's fine. That's fine, right? If you're a hard gainer, you're going to shoot for a half a pound to 1 pound a week, and I would start by adding 500 calories to what you're eating. And if you're not gaining weight, bump it to 750. If you're not gaining weight, bump it to 1,000. Once you find that threshold, those are the average calories you're going to consume a day. If you're a mesomorph, I would probably start with 500 calories a day and see how you're putting on size, right? And again, you could do the same thing as an ectomorph. Now, here's a key point I want you guys to understand. Just like with calorie cycling to lose body fat, you don't want to stay at a calorie surplus every single day, okay? Because what happens is this. Our cells will become insulin resistant, even if you're eating clean, if you're always in a calorie surplus, okay? Our mitochondria, the things that burn fat, the thing that gives us energy in the weight room, those will actually de-adapt. Like, if you have a calorie surplus, why do they need to create energy from fat? If you're always stuffing calories in the cell, your mitochondria lose their purpose and their function, and that makes you insulin resistant, and it means you're going to lose things like your vascularity, you're going to lose your pumps in the gym, and you'll, by that, lose your motivation to train. Okay? So what I recommend is 2 days a week, go back to maintenance, and maybe 1 day a week, go slightly below maintenance, particularly if an endomorph, and even if you're a mesomorph. Okay, now, the other thing is that typically, if you want to gain hardcore mass, you can ask all the nutrition questions you want, you can take all the supplements in the world, but if you don't have a novel, hardcore training program, some of the stuff that we have like on Muscle PhD, if you don't institute a brand new novel program, you're not going to grow. You're just going to gain a lot of fat. You'll gain some muscle, but you'll gain a lot of fat if your training stimulus isn't ideal. There's a good study by Campbell in 1994 where these scientists put people on a hardcore training program, and when you're on a hardcore training program, they found that just to maintain, they need to increase their calories by 15%, right? So if you're blowing it out, that 500 calories at first, don't get discouraged because it may just go toward fueling that training program. Once you know it fuels that new training program, that's why you may have to add 250 to 500 calories on top of that. So again, in summary, start by looking at your normal maintenance calories, by tracking your calories and your weight. If they're the same, that's your maintenance calories, right? Increase your training to something that's hardcore, novel, and new in general. And see if those calories either maintain you or if you need to add 250 or 500 calories more to that. If you're an endomorph, start with 250. If that doesn't work, go to 500. If you're a hard gainer, start with 500. If that doesn't work, go to 1,000. Same thing with the mesomorph. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time.